ฉีดยาได้ยังไงมาสเตอร์คัพเตอร์
All right, we're ready to start. All right, good afternoon, everyone. We're getting ready to start. This is our Fulton County State Court Expedited Accusations calendar. This is a calendar for cases in which individuals have recently been arrested with certain misdemeanor offenses. Soon after the arrest, the Fulton County Solicitor General's office has already accused the cases of the offenses brought against them, and the Fulton County State, and the cases have been bound over to the Fulton County State Court. Nevertheless, this will usually be the defendant's initial appearance before state court judge. So we are able to address several matters such as bond, possible arraignment, and a possible plea offer if one has been made by the state at this juncture. And the reset SAP date is what?
November the 5th.
Okay, November the 5th. I want to begin by advising everyone that this whole entire proceeding is being recorded as well as live streamed on YouTube, so govern yourselves accordingly. I want to remind the defendants that you do have certain constitutional rights. The first being that you have a right to counsel, and you should know who your attorneys are at this point and have spoken to them. You also have a right to remain silent. Remember that anything that you state about the facts or circumstances or the occurrences in your case can and will be held against you.
Bring him back in.
The state is here and they're listening. Someone's not muted, or maybe that's the courtroom at the jail. All right, deputies, who do we have first?
Position number 2, Ms. Arrows.
This is 24 CR 007206D. Is it Aselin Ayers? Charge of 1 count of simple assault, family violence, 2nd count of terroristic acts and threats. Pre-trial. Is pre-trial signed on?
I thought they were, Your Honor, but I do have that this, the defendant has one previous arrest from 2023. It was terroristic threats and acts and battery family violence first offense. The case does appear to be open. It is 23 CP 218917. This particular incident happened December 15th of 2023. The incident location is 875 Devonish Lane in Roswell, Georgia. The victim in this case is Douglas King, who is the defendant's stepfather. The defendant is accused of throwing a glass vase at the victim and threatening to burn the residence down. The defendant also sent text messages to her brother where she told him that she would burn down the house so the victim could never come home. The defendant does have a history of MH, and at the time of this incident, she had not received an official diagnosis. At the time, the victim and his wife were so afraid of the defendant that they would lock themselves in their bedroom at night so that she couldn't hurt them. The defendant had also made threats of hurting herself. When officers spoke to the defendant at the time of the incident, she asked to be taken to the hospital so she could be evaluated, and she was subsequently 1013'd. The defendant has been recommended for mental health court. Our office has spoken with the victim, her stepfather, who states that the defendant has been seeking treatment since this incident and has been on medication and is doing great right now. He says that she starts a job on Monday, says they've been living together since this incident and they have had no problems since. He says he is not in fear of the defendant and wants her to return to the residence. There's currently no bond set for this defendant. Based on our conversation with her stepfather, it seems like she's on the right track now. So the state's recommendation is a signature bond, no further violent contact with Douglas King and Pamela King. remain compliant with any mental health treatment plan that she is currently on, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. I believe Mr. King is on the Zoom. If you could please sound for him.
All right, Mr. King.
Good afternoon. I
Hold
think
on
that
a
was a great,
second. Yeah, hold on
sorry.
a second. Do you wish to address the court today? Yes or
Yes,
no?
please.
All right, raise your right hand for me. Do you affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, I do.
All right, put your hand down for me. This is not a trial, it's a bond hearing. And some of the MH issues we don't discuss in open court. So please be very limited with some of that, or else we'll have to go off the record and on to a breakout, which I'm trying to avoid. So I'm not going to get too deep into the MH issues regarding your son. But let me ask you this. Are you in fear of your son? I'm sorry,
My-
daughter. Is it
No,
Okay, and I'm sorry,
stepdaughter.
stepdaughter, yes. And let me ask you this, do you want to have any further contact with your stepdaughter?
Absolutely. She's actually been living with us for the better part of the last 5 years. And we're very supportive of her in her efforts to regain her footing in the real world. So yes, we are planning on her living with us for the foreseeable future until she gets back on her feet.
All right, and she's gonna get some help, that's correct?
She is getting help, has been getting help since the point in time in January when she was hospitalized, or really December, and that's been ongoing. And so yeah, she's getting treatment and is very diligent about taking her medication
Great,
and follow-up visits.
all right, let me hear from her attorney, Attorney Goldstein.
Hi, good afternoon, Judge. I don't
Good afternoon.
know how much additional you need to hear from me, but I do echo the sentiments of both the state and Mr. King. I don't know if you can see, I have extensive medical records showing that Miss Ayers is working hard. She's doing great right now. She starts a new, really exciting job opportunity on Monday, and wanted to get this put behind her. But yeah, she is complying with all of her treatment. She wishes to continue to do so. So we would just ask that you follow the state's recommendation of a signature bond through the jail and no further violent contact with Mr.
Okay.
King.
All right, hold on 1 second for me.
I just need to check to make sure it's not one of those bail restricted offenses. It might have to go through pretrial services.
Terroristic threats is not one of the bail restricted, but the family violence are. Family violence charges are, I believe.
All right, so I will, if I honor the signature bond, it'll have to go through pretrial services, but she has the open case. Pretrial, we're on position 2. Miss Ayers. I think you just signed on. They were having some Wi-Fi trouble. Pretrial?
I'm here.
Okay. So, the state has recommended a signature bond. We were looking at the bail restricted offenses. And I believe you all stated that the simple assault family violence was?
I hadn't said anything.
No, I'm
Uh,
talking to the state.
Oh, okay.
I do not see it on the list. Battery is a bail restricted offense, but I do not see
Simple assault.
simple assault.
Okay. And of course, terroristic threats is not on there as well, correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right, so I will do a signature bond through the jail. It's gonna be 2,500 on the simple assault, 1,500 on the terroristic threats, for a total of $4,000 signature bond through the jail. And the conditions will be no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. And no unprescribed medication. Defendant is to stay with her course of treatment for MH and to comply with all conditions and stay on her medication and stay compliant with that treatment. She's to have no further violent contact with Douglas King and Pamela King. And I believe that's it. Anything else, state?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
All right. Anything else, Attorney Goldstein?
No, Judge, nothing further.
Okay. All right. That'll be it. That's the order of the court.
Thank you, Judge. May I be excused?
Thank you. Yes, you may. Thank you. And
Thank you.
Mr.
Have a good
King, you can sign off as well.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
We can go to Alpharetta Jail.
Okay. And which position?
I'm not sure who the person's seated, so I don't know the position number, but if so, it should be either position number 4 or either position number 6.
And what was the name again?
Alpharetta hasn't said anything, so I'm not,
Oh, Alpharetta?
yeah.
Yes, we're here, Judge. I'm sorry. You
All
have
right.
Brito in front of you, Carlos Brito.
Okay, that's position number 6.
All right. This is 24 CR 007213G. Carlos Brito Kennelin, one charge of simple battery family violence. Pretrial?
First.
Okay. State?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred December 30th of 2022. The incident location is 209 Castwick Trace in Johns Creek. The victim in this case is a minor with the initials HC. The defendant is accused of striking/spanking the victim twice. The defendant told officers that he had difficulty communicating with and understanding the victim, which made him angry. So he decided that he was going to strike her on the bottom twice with an open hand. The victim was 6 years old at the time of the incident. Our office has not made contact with the victim's mother, Vicky Carmago, but we would ask that you sound for her in case she is on the Zoom. He currently has no bond set. The state's recommendation, given that this is his first arrest, is a signature bond, that he have no further contact with Harmony Carmago, that he stay away from the incident location, and that he have no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
I thought this was a bond restriction.
A signature bond through pretrial services.
All right. And I guess I will sound for what was the mother's name again?
Vicky Camargo, Camargo.
She on the Zoom? All right. And whose case is this?
This is mine, Your Honor. There's not much for me to add. No objection to the signature bond through pretrial. Really wish the other person was on, but that's not the case. so that we could talk more about the conditions. But that sounds fine.
All right, $3,000 signature bond through pretrial, level 1. And who lives at this Passwood Trace in Alpharetta?
Based on the warrant, they were all living at the location at the time of the incident. I'm not
Right.
sure what current living status is now.
Mr.
Right.
McLean?
From 2022, I don't have that, Your Honor. I know they've been through certain other proceedings, have custody visitation or something like that, if I'm not mixing up my two things. Mr. Brito or Brito, how do you pronounce your last name exactly again?
Brito.
Okay. Who lives with you now?
They don't live with me now. With me live Melanie Anderson at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Apparently they're not together, so that's
Could we have a one-time escort to just ensure that the victim and her mother no longer live there, just to confirm?
yeah. We separate on December 30, 2022. We split.
The same day as the incident. I'm going to, with that signature bond through pretrial level 1, I'm going to order that the defendant arrange for a one-time law enforcement escort to return to the property so that they can sweep the property, make sure that the victim, Vicky Camargo, and the minor, HC, do not reside there. As long as they do not reside there, you can reside there, Mr. Brito. But if they do, then you are to stay away from that location while on bond. If they are found to be residing there, and the officer will know how to handle that. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, unprescribed medication, or guns while on bond. And I'm just going to go ahead and order no further contact with Vicky Camargo and no further contact with the minor HC. And I guess it's all out order at this time. Anything else, State?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
All right, that's the order of the court.
The next person at the Alpharetta Jail is position number 4.
Okay. This is 24 CR 007211J. Salma, is it Bonajara? Sorry if I'm mispronouncing the last name.
You ready?
Where are they?
Go to ACDC next then, because they're
Oh,
not.
They're not there and they're not in the chair. Okay, ACDC? Oh,
Yeah,
well, hold on. Here comes Alpharetta. This is 24 CR 007211J. Is it Salma Banyarje? I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name. Okay, charge it 1 count of simple 2 counts of simple battery. Pre-trial.
6. Last arrest was trespass, possession of cocaine with intent, hit and run, possession of meth, possession of a controlled substance, fleeing an officer. It's 24 SC 002048. Got a open misdemeanor obstruction on probation in Forsyth County DUI and 2023 FTA.
All right, State.
Yes, Your Honor, this incident occurred July 5th, 2024. The incident location is 9995 Old Dogwood Road in Roswell. The victim in this case is Manny Charlatan. The defendant is accused of slapping the victim in the face, ripping his shirt, and throwing a water bottle at him. Officers did observe that the defendant's shirt was torn around the neckline, And officers observed that the victim's shirt was torn around the neckline. The defendant is seen on video throwing a water bottle, and the water bottle does appear to strike the victim. Our office has spoken with the victim, Mr. Charlatan, who says that he was staying at the hotel and he met the defendant. He says that they were intimate and then he left the hotel. And when he came back, his room was broken into and his firearm was missing. He says that when he came out of his room, the defendant saw him and then started attacking him. He says that he has since left the hotel and has not seen the defendant since. The state's recommendation, given the defendant's open cases, and the facts of this case, is a $1,500 surety bond on each count of simple battery, that she have no further contact with Manny Charlatan, that she stay away from the incident location, and that she have no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. I would ask that you sound for Mr. Charlatan if he is on the Zoom.
Mr. Charlatan? All right, PD?
Your Honor, my client is 22 years old. There are some prior arrests and cases in the open case, admittedly. She is a high school graduate, went to high school in Roswell, Georgia. She works at Wings 101 for the last year, for over a year. Before that, worked at UPS for a year. And so she is an industrious person. Given the circumstances of the meeting that I just heard about, I would ask the court to consider, despite the open cases, I would ask the court to consider the signature bond option.
I'm going to order a $3,000 surety bond, $1,500 on each of the charges based on the history and the allegations. Gonna order stay away from that hotel at 9995 Old Dogwood Road. No further contact with the victim, Manny Charlatan. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns, or unprescribed medication while on bond. And I think that'll be it. Anything else?
Nothing.
Okay. Next.
ACDC can go.
We can go to position number 18, Miss Shabazz.
This is 24 CR 007219A. Sadah Shabazz, charge of 1 count of battery, family violence, pretrial.
Second arrest. She was arrested this year for battery, simple battery. I think it's 2,500. It's your bond, but I think it's 2,500. So that'll be 25 plus whatever you set. That's it.
State.
Your Honor, that's my case. Pretrial is correct. This young woman just came through in August at first appearance. She's got a $2,500 sign-on bond through pretrial. She was ordered to have no further violent contact with the victim in this case and to have a one-time escort back to the location to get her things. We actually went through a pretty long and prolonged hearing on that date about whether or not she was going to go back to the location or had somewhere else to go. Her mother, Cassandra Moore, is also someone who was living in the home at the time and is also named in this report. So the fact that we're in front of you again, all three individuals still remain at the location in violation of the order that you issued in August, is pretty glaring. The incident in front of you today occurred on the 21st of October at about 11 p.m. Police were called to 1700 Stanton Road, Southwest. There they met with the victim. He's the husband of this lady. His name is Lorenzo Smith. He reported that he and his wife argued over cell phones and other things, and they started to push each other. He reports that Mrs. Shabazz pushed him first. He responded by pushing her back, and she scratched him while doing so. He was seen to have a long scratch mark on his belly. The defendant was spoken with. She admitted to pushing back and forth with her husband. She said he was on top of her and that he had requested sex earlier, and she said no to him. Her mother was present, Cassandra Moore, and reported that she saw the husband on top of her daughter and that they were both pushing each other back and forth. Mrs. Shabazz was seen by medical personnel because she complained that her wrist was hurting, but after being treated, she was transported to the jail. Police indicate in the reports that part of the reason why they arrested her was a visible injury on her husband, but also that they'd been to the location multiple times. And one of those times was in August, Your Honor, where again, the victim, Mr. Lorenzo Smith, was seen to have scratches on him. He reported that his wife had struck him with a closed fist. That was over an issue because he came home from work and the prepared food for him handed to him on a plate was cold. He was dissatisfied with that and threw it away. He yelled and became angry. He ripped the marriage license off the wall and yelled at this young woman's mother. Evidently, they just got married on August the 7th. They have a 5-month-old child. So, Your Honor, although it appears to be that there is some back and forth and mutual violence happening in this situation, the people in this case have been ordered to have no violent contact, and the court was led to believe in August that the 3 individuals here again today would not be living in the same residence any longer. We haven't had a chance to talk to Mr. Smith today. We've left him a message if you would sound for him. At this point, the state would be asking for a $5,000 surety bond, absolutely no contact with Lorenzo Smith. Stay away from that location like it was explained was going to happen last time, and that's specifically 1700 Stanton Road, Southwest. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. I'd also note that right before these incidents began happening and before these 2 people got married in July, Mr. Lorenzo Smith filed to have Ms. Shabazz evicted from that residence and then dismissed the action on the day they actually got married. So I'm not sure what's going on here, but it's not safe for a victim who is underage to be present in this environment. And these people are now violating the order of the court. Thank you.
All right. McLean.
Your Honor, my client is 25 and a high school graduate, went to Frank McLaren High School in College Park. She has sought housing, alternate housing, and she has been talking to several shelters, but I understand the narrative, the sequence, the timing of what the state was just laying out there. And these people need to be a part. I totally agree. She's talked to City of Refuge. I've left a message at City of Refuge for her mentor to get hold of us and see if they could jump on to save the day with a flying cape of a superhero. And I haven't heard back from them yet. She did work at McDonald's for some weeks. She worked at Oz Pizza for some months. Other than the last several years, she's been a homemaker. I would ask the court to consider as low a bond as possible. And she does need to live elsewhere. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Normally, when my bonds are violated, and most other judges, we usually recommend a cash bond. And so we certainly don't like it when our bonds are violated. So I'm going to order a $3,000 cash bond. And I'm going to once again order that Ms. Shabazz stay away from 1700 Stanton Road. And I'm going to order no further contact with Lorenzo Smith. No drugs, alcohol, weapons or guns or unprescribed medication while on bond. And I think that'll be it. Anything else?
Nothing.
Okay.
Position number 5, Ms. Braswell.
This is 24 CR 007212B. Renethia Braswell, charged with 1 count of simple battery family violence. Pretrial.
31. 2023 FTA, 2020 simple battery DV. Most of the history is theft.
All right. State.
Yes, and before I begin, Your Honor, I would like to apologize to the court. I was incorrect earlier when I said simple assault. Family violence wasn't a bail-restricted offense. Because it was family violence, it is actually a bail-restricted offense. I apologize, Your Honor.
No worries. Thank you.
For Ms. Braswell, this incident occurred October 22nd, 2024. The incident location is 2980 Jonesboro Road, Southeast in Atlanta. The defendant is Sheldon Braswell. Sorry, the victim is Sheldon Braswell, the defendant's husband. The parties were having a dispute as the defendant had accused the victim of cheating and bringing other women into their home. The defendant was apparently ignoring her and acting as if he was asleep, so she got upset and slapped the iPad off of the armrest and into the victim's face. The defendant admitted to officers that she did strike the defendant with the iPad. It looks like the parties have a 2020 simple battery family violence. The case number is 20 CR 003238B. It looks like that case is in dormant bench warrant status. In that incident, the defendant is accused of throwing a plastic container of hot soup at the victim. The state's recommendation, based on the fact that they do have a previous history of violence, is a $2,500 surety bond, that she have no further contact with the victim, Sheldon Braswell, that she stay away from that incident location, that she undergo anger awareness, and have no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. We have not had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Braswell, but we did reach out to him. So if you could please sound for him to see if he's on the Zoom.
All right. Mr. Sheldon Braswell. Don't think he's on. PD Cook.
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 58 years old. Some SSI makes a modest amount of income. We understand the 2020 issue. I'm not sure. Apparently, there was no resolution and it's dormant. So I guess nobody's pursuing that. This is very difficult. She's 58 years old. They've lived together for 29 years, and they've lived in that home at 28, and yeah, at the same home for years and years and years. She has no place to go. I tried, like the state tried, to get in touch with her husband. We understand it's family violence. We would be looking for a signature bond through pretrial. As far as the restrictions, I wish she had were available. It's very difficult after 29 years. Where's she going to go? On the street? She has no place to go. So we would ask for the lowest bond possible. We'd ask for signature bond through pretrial. The sense she makes, well, I'll just say, her SSI is about $871 a month. I don't know where her husband is, if he's in a snit. This is like shoving an iPad. My goodness. We have bigger fish to fry in this county. Where's she going to go after 29 years in the same place? Nothing further. I'm just asking for the wisdom of the court. She doesn't need to stay in Rice Street. We know that.
Well, it hasn't been 24 hours quite, and I don't know if there's been the ample cooling down. And I'm not going to send them back to a volatile situation. And I mean, her history, she has 31 encounters with the system. So there's a problem somewhere. I know they're theft, but don't know that I heard any prior violence. However, we've got to calm this situation down somehow. So I'm going to order the $2,500 surety bond. Going to order stay away from the incident location. No further contact with the victim, Sheldon Braswell. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, guns, or unprescribed medication while on bond. That
Your
should
Honor,
be.
I understand it's a family violence and that's restricted. Given her modest income and given that to stay away and no further contact, could we at least look at a signature bond through pretrial? I mean, she makes $871 a month. That's 4 times her income, or 3.5 times, or whatever.
What, the bond?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
If she goes to a bonding company, it'd be 10 or 15%.
Okay.
So, I don't know that I want to change it to SOB pretrial. I don't know, pretrial will take her.
One can only ask.
I understand. I
Thank
think
you.
she should
You get
understand.
level 3.
All right, so I'll do 2,500 SOB pretrial
Level 3.
level 3, and I'm going to order her to take 1 week of anger awareness courses.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next.
We're gonna go with position number 7.
Okay. 24 CR 007216C, Shamika Calloway, charged with 1 count of simple battery family violence, 2nd count of battery family violence. Pretrial.
Second arrest, 2020 shoplifting PTI.
State.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred June 24th, 2023. The incident location is 273 Chapel Road in Atlanta. The victim in this case is Shakenda Calloway, who is the defendant's sister. The parties were having a verbal dispute regarding the light bill payment when the defendant pushed the victim to the ground and then struck her in the face with a chair. Per the incident report, the victim told officers that she did have some eye pain and swelling around her eye area. Our office has tried to get in contact with the victim, but we have not been able to do so. The state's recommendation is a signature bond through pretrial services, that she have no further contact with the victim, that she stay away from the incident location, that she undergo anger awareness, and have no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on
All right. And what was your amount of your recommendation?
It was a signature bond through pretrial services at any amount the court deems appropriate.
All right. PD Cook.
Yes, Your Honor. My client denies the allegations. However, we would not object to a signature bond through pretrial. We would object to anger management at this point. I'm looking at my notes. I don't think it's hard to tell. I was not able to get in touch with the victim. They seem to be not available today. In any case, they apparently have lived together at some point. So what I would ask is that he could go back to the incident location and determine whether the alleged victim is still living there.
I mean,
And
do
if
we have
not,
any evidence that he's not?
No, not from the state, Your Honor. If you could sound for Miss Shakenda Calloway, just in case she happens to be on the Zoom.
Shakenda Calloway? No. Well, I mean, usually I have some type of indication, or I'd like to anyway, that the other party's not there. So I'm going to order her to stay away. But I will make this a 1,500, which will be 3,000, 1,500 on each charge. SOB pretrial. Level 1. And I'm going to order to stay away from the 273 Chapel Road right now. And no further contact with the victim, Shakenda Calloway. And I'm going to order 2-day anger awareness through pretrial. That's it.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Number 21 West.
Okay. '24 CR 0072223C, Tiffany West, charge of 1 count of theft of services. Pretrial.
4 total. Last was 05 theft by taking, financial transaction card theft. Jail is a recommendation.
Okay.
Your Honor,
Stay.
that's my case. This is an incident that occurred on the 19th of October. Ms. West did take a first offender felony conviction in DeKalb County in 2006 for theft by taking, financial transaction card theft, and financial ID fraud. This month, a few days ago, police were called to the nail club. That's 6385 Old National Highway in South Fulton. There, the owner of the location, Ms. Lamb, reported that Mrs. West had come in with her daughter, inquired about nail services for her daughter, was quoted the price of $70, agreed. And as Miss West's daughter was getting her nails done, Miss West left. The nail tech, as she finished this young woman's nails, spoke to her about the cost. Daughter said, "That's too much money." Called her mom. The nail tech talked to Mrs. West in front of you, who had been there previously, dropped her daughter off and ordered those services. Mrs. West returned to the location and told the proprietress that she only had $60. She then left the location with her daughter after paying nothing for the services. So she's charged with a single count of theft by services. The proprietress at the location was able to take a photograph of the vehicle as it left, and that vehicle was registered to the defendant. Her driver's license picture was also compared to the surveillance of her at the location. We'd ask for $1,000 surety, Your Honor. Stay away from the location, the nail club at 6385 Old National Highway in South Fulton. Have no contact with Mrs. Kimberly Lamb there, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
All right. PD, is it McLean? And I'll sound for Kimberly Lamb. I don't think I see anyone with that name. All right. Who's the PD?
Mute. I will be, Your Honor. My client has a different version of the facts, which can be presented to the jury as far as what the agreed upon price was. And she offered to pay the 60, refused, and then there was no agreement at all. So we would ask the court to consider a signature bond in this case. My client is 46 years old.
All right. I will order a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. I will order stay away from the nail club on Old National. No further contact with Kimberly Price. And actually, I just add in there that her daughter needs to stay away. I don't know what the daughter's name is.
It's not indicated in the police documents I have. And the proprietor there is, last name is Lamb, L-A-M.
Oh, sorry,
Thank you.
L-A-M. And no drugs, alcohol, weapons, guns, or unprescribed medication while on bond. Stay away from there and no further contact.
What was that amount?
2,000 SOB jail.
Position number 1, Andrews.
Go ahead.
This is 24 CR 0072088A, Samuel Andrews. Charge at 1 count of simple battery, family violence.
9. 2023 criminal damage to property, 2nd degree. That's open. 23 CP 223681. 2016 theft by receiving, first offender.
All right, state.
Your Honor, this incident occurred December 20th, 2023. The incident location is 590 Collier Ridge Drive Northwest in Atlanta. The victim in this case is Christopher Andrews, who is the defendant's father. The victim came home and observed the defendant sitting in the back of the house. The victim then turned the lights on and off, which seemed to upset the defendant. The victim went inside to speak to his granddaughter, which seemed to upset the defendant even more. And the defendant ended up striking his father in the head several times and then left the location. The victim told officers that the defendant is supposed to take MH medication, but has not been doing so. Her office has spoken with Mr. Andrews, who states that around the time of the incident, he had to call the police multiple times because of the defendant's behavior. He said the defendant was taken to Cobb County, and then when he came back, he seemed to be fine for a few days and then began to act up again. The defendant, he believes the defendant is no longer taking his medication, but says that since this incident, they have been fine and they have had no other incidents since this incident from 2023. He said they still live together and he has no problem with the defendant coming back to the residence and he wants contact with the defendant. It looks like the defendant does have some violence in his history, but those are all from 2010 and earlier. He has a 2010 simple assault and a 2007 ag assault. Those are all arrests. The state's recommendation is a $1,500 surety bond, that he have no further violent contact with the victim, that he undergo an MHET and remain compliant with any treatment plans, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. If we could please sound for Mr. Christopher Andrews.
Mr. Christopher Andrews.
Yes.
Do you wish to address the court today?
Yeah, I'm
Hold on. First is yes or no, and then I'll have to swear you in.
yes, I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
Okay. Can't see you. It's very blurry, too far away.
Okay.
Who's sitting next to you?
That's my wife, Sam's
What-
mother,
What's her name?
Yolanda Andrews.
All right, Mr. Andrews, raise your right hand for me. Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, I do.
All right, this is not your the trial for your son. This is a bond hearing. And so are you in fear of Samuel Andrews?
No, ma'am, not at all.
Do you want to have any further contact with Mr. Andrews?
I would, yes.
Okay. All right. How old is your son?
My son just turned 38 on April 13th.
Okay. And he resides there with you and your wife?
Yes, ma'am, he does.
Okay. All right, I don't have any questions. State, you have any questions or
No,
pretrial?
yeah.
All right, thank you, Mr. Andrews. We'll
Your Honor, may I inquire?
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Andrews, we spoke earlier, but not in great detail. We were just speaking.
Mr. Andrews, I can only see your mouth. I can't see you.
Okay, there we go. We
There we
just,
go.
if you recall, just to make sure you had Zoom codes.
Hello.
I'm here. Can you hear me, Mr. Andrews? Mr.
I,
Andrews?
I didn't hear anything of probably whatever it's for the last past 30, 45 seconds. We were disconnected. For reason.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Absolutely.
Okay, so MHETs can take a while. Has he been under the care of I mean, you'd say, I think you mentioned some medication. Has he been under the care of somebody?
Now those questions would have to be directed to him because we haven't discussed it. I just know since the incident occurred back in December of last year, I have not seen any signs of the paranoia or any other.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Nothing further. I have no further questions for the.
All right, you can mute yourself, Mr. Andrews, and continue to listen. You can go ahead, Petey Cook.
Yes, Your Honor, my client's 38 and he does live with his dad. I think there was someone else there on the couch, so probably someone else. When I spoke to Mr. Andrews Sr., that this is, I think the incident was December 20th, 2023. So we're looking at something close to almost to the day. Yes, to the day, 10 months. We would ask that he be allowed to go home with no restrictions, except no violent contact, a signature only bond, since from what I can determine, his income is very modest. And I don't know, it sounds like he's been evaluated. We could ask for an MHET. I just know that it takes a long time at the jail. And it's not even clear exactly. I've looked in this extensively over the last week. It's not even clear who does it and when they do it, but I could certainly send the court an order and they could send it to the jail. I hope it gets processed. But my main focus is to get him out, get him back home with a signature bond. Nothing further, Your Honor.
And I think he can get an MHET outside of the jail. We just want.
I think he can too. Yeah, I think that can be ordered. That he go to some qualified practitioner. Yes, I think that's true. Thank you, Ms. McConkey. That is true.
That's assuming he doesn't have one since the father doesn't know.
Well, at some point, apparently he was on some medication. I think the father mentioned that, but and presumably nobody would prescribe medication without some kind of evaluation. So,
Yeah,
All right.
but we would have no objection to an MHET, excuse me. If it's outside, we just would like to get him out of Rice Street for a whole bunch of reasons.
And we would be fine with it happening outside. If he is under a treatment plan, which we're not sure of, we would ask that he remain compliant. But since we don't know, I think it would be appropriate if he's going to return to the residence that he undergo an MHET just so he can be put on a treatment plan and remain compliant with said treatment plan so that something like this doesn't happen again.
We would have no objection to that.
All right. I will order the $1,500 surety bond. And with that surety bond, I'm going to order that he either seek treatment and have an evaluation outside of the jail, and stay compliant with any plan of treatment or medication that may be prescribed, that he have no further violent contact with Christopher Andrews, and that he have no drugs, unprescribed medication, alcohol, guns, or weapons while on bond. That'll be no further violent contact. And I guess that's it.
Thank you.
Number 8,
This is 24 CR 007215G. Rodney Carthen, charged with 1 count of theft by shoplifting.
6 total. 2013 and false imprisonment, kidnapping conviction. I was in non-complex with him yesterday. He took a plea on a felony charge that reduced him to misdemeanors. So I'll take him level 1 or 2. That's fine.
Okay.
But he had an outstanding warrant for this. That's why he was in
Yeah,
custody.
Mr. Howard, he got a suspended sentence. Is that right?
Yesterday?
I think so.
I thought they just dropped him down to misdemeanors and gave him probation.
Okay, well,
But I could
okay.
be wrong.
No, I'm not sure. I just got a short message from the felony defense attorney. So
Okay.
so I could be wrong too. So
Well, if you got that message from the attorney, that's probably right.
okay.
All right.
Okay. State.
Yes, this incident occurred April 30th, 2024 at the Dollar General located at 4894 Old National Highway in College Park. The defendant is accused of stealing $60 worth of household items from the Dollar General. The incident was caught on the store's surveillance camera. The defendant had dropped off his girlfriend and his girlfriend's sister, Diane Hamilton, at a doctor's appointment. When Ms. Hamilton came outside, she realized the defendant had taken her vehicle, which he used to drive to the Dollar General. That was about 4 minutes away. When the defendant came back, Ms. Hamilton did observe that he had several items inside of her car. The state would be fine with a signature bond through pretrial services, a stay away from that incident location, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol.
PD Cook.
Actually, I think Mr. McLean interviewed him, but I suspect that he would have no objection to that.
Okay. For
Recommend
SMB
Mr.
pretrial.
McLean, is that correct?
I agree. He would not have any objection to that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I will make that $1,500 signature bond through pretrial. Level 2. And no drugs, alcohol, weapons, guns, or unprescribed medication while on bond. Stay away from the Dollar General on Old National. And I guess that's it.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
number 13,
All right.
Your Honor, number 17 is misspelled. It's supposed to be POR.
PORTRESS.
Correct. Oftentimes when it's just a vowel at the end of the name, we don't even mention them as spelling because it's no big deal, but that's right in the middle of it.
So
All
who
right.
we on now?
Position 13, 24 CR 00720038, Xavier Mahan.
First.
Charged at 1 count, okay, of theft by receiving. First, state.
Thank you.
Jail's the recommendation too.
Okay.
The incident in this case is a theft from a vehicle that was reported in September of 2023. Police were dispatched to the intersection at Auburn and Hilliard, where they met with two young men who reported that they'd parked the vehicle and come back to the location, and two backpacks were taken with multiple electronics inside. Serial numbers and information were provided for the electronics in the backpack. On October the 18th last year, 2023, investigators determined that this young man in front of you, Mr. Xavier Mahan, had used the Echo ATM recycling of electronics kiosks that are typically at Kroger. He was recorded selling one of the iPads. The victim for that specific iPad, his name is Jakori, Jakori Watson. It had been reported stolen in September. The serial numbers matched. The defendant received $95 when he recycled this item, which is worth much more than that. Fortunately, the iPad was able to be recovered through the Echo ATM and returned to the victim. We're asking for a $1,000 SOB with an order to stay away from all Echo ATMs and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Thank you.
McLean or Cook?
Yeah, I did talk to him. Could I get the position again? I'm sorry, but I did. Oh, okay, I've got it.
13, Mahan.
Oh, this is Mr. Mahan. Okay, yes, I did speak to him. Your Honor, my client's 21 years old. I lived in Stone Mountain, so there's no issue about coming to court. He has basically no record, really, as far as I can tell. He is not employed. He has no income. I don't believe, as I look at my cheat sheet, that this is a restricted offense. If it is, I'm sorry, I don't believe it is. So we would be actually asking for a signature bond at whatever level the court deems appropriate.
All right.
And I'm sorry, I was shuffling through some other papers, so I didn't even hear the solicitor's recommendation. I'm sorry, Miss Allen.
It's SOB jail.
Oh, okay. Well, certainly we won't object to that.
I will order a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from the incident location. Shouldn't be using the Echo ATMs to recycle anything.
Yes, I understand.
No drugs, alcohol, weapons, guns, or unprescribed medication while on bond. So 2,000 SOB jail.
Thank you.
Number 15.
'24 CR 007207H, Mark Morris, charged with 1 count of simple battery family violence. Pretrial.
24/2023. Ag assault, simple battery, family violence, accrued 10 and third, 4 counts. Those were DWAP on probation for possession of a Schedule 1 or 2 with intent. 2016 FTA, 2015 robbery conviction, and 2015 FTA.
All right.
Your Honor, that's my case. This happened on August the 12th of 2024. Police were called to 1460 Lavender Drive, Northwest. There they spoke to the victim, Shannon Jones. She's here on the Zoom. She reports that she lives at the location with the defendant and they share some children. That during an argument about the fact that he always cheats on her, he struck her in the left side of the head with his hands. A domestic violence investigator followed up after reviewing the initial report. There was noted to be 2 prior violent incidences. The victim reported on body-worn camera that her ears were ringing as a result of being struck by the defendant. The defendant was not located at the location, although he was canvassed. The area was canvassed at the time. An arrest warrant was issued for him, and he was just picked up actually at the location. As is typical with a case like this, a victim is often in crisis, makes a call to police, and if someone has fled, then life turns back to a somewhat normal experience because the threat has not disappeared. So it seems like these folks have been together since. We've spoken to the victim, Mrs. Jones. She reports that they still live together. She confirmed the events in the warrant, confirmed that this is not the first time that there'd been violence in the home. She also acknowledged that they had a case a year ago in October. That was a felony case. It has been dismissed because the officer did not show up for the preliminary hearing, Your Honor. She reports that they'd been living together since this incident, and she's not in fear. So that 2023 aggravated assault was dismissed. She was the victim. The defendant has multiple prior felony convictions. I would say that the jail calls in this case do indicate that there's communication about what to say in court and how to handle this situation. Communication basically about the last time that there was a case. You need to call here and do what you did last time. You say you're not afraid of me and you want me home. Let them know this isn't what you wanted. You were just angry. The victim agrees. I'm going to tell them I was angry and I didn't know what I was thinking. And then proceeds to talk to the defendant after she's spoken to our victim advocate. So, Your Honor, the state's position is that there are small children in this home. This is an ongoing problem. The victim admitted that there'd been multiple incidences. There've been multiple violent cases and documentation of these incidences. There's obviously an issue because police are called for help, but ultimately, if someone is not picked up when an incident occurs, life does return back to normal. So although the victim is saying she wants to remain in the home with the defendant and her children, the state would argue that's not what is in the best interest of her safety or the safety of her children. So we'd be asking for a stay away. We also would ask for a $2,000 surety, Your Honor, based on the fact that he was just in court yesterday and pled guilty to felony drug case here in Superior Court. He is currently on probation. He has robbery convictions, felony drug with intent convictions. So we'd ask for a $2,000 surety, a stay away from wherever Ms. Jones may live and have no contact with her, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And if you would sound for Ms. Jones. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Jones, Shannon Jones.
Yes,
Do you wish to address the court today? Yes or no?
yes.
You need to turn on your camera.
Can you see?
All right, raise your right hand so I can swear you in. You affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury.
Yes,
All right, put your hand down for me. Are you in fear of Mr. Mark Mars?
yes.
Do you want to have any further contact?
No, I'm not in fear. I'm sorry.
Do you want to have any further contact with Mr. Mars?
Yes,
Do you all have any children together?
yes. We have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, and he keeps my kids while I go to work.
Okay. That's good. You can mute yourself. Who's representing Mr. Morris?
I do, Your Honor.
Yeah, go ahead, McLean.
Your Honor, my client is 36 years old, graduate of Central High School in Phoenix City, Alabama. His mother lives in Columbus. He has family in the Columbus area. He has, but he's lived in Georgia all his adult life after high school. He works as a cook at Wendy's for the last 2 years. Very steady job at that. Dollar General for a year before that. Dollar Tree for a year before that. And has plumbing skills, automotive skills, renovation skills. Very employable, is employed. That's just basically stability factors about my client. We would ask the court to consider a signature bond and we would, of course, defer to the court's judgment of stay away or no stay away. He does have a brother here in town. That's a local number. I'm looking at on the 3 cards. So if the court felt he should stay away, then he would have family to go to. But he would ask the court to consider not doing that.
All right. I'm going to order the $2,000 surety bond. And with that surety bond, I'm going to, I know this was in August. And who lives at the Lavender address?
Children and Mrs. Jones.
All right, Mrs. Jones, does Mr. Morris live with you at that address?
Yes.
I'm gonna order him, oh, this happened August 12th. Make sure that there's been, I guess, a cooling down, and you want him to come back and return with you, Miss Jones, and you would
Yes.
feel safe with that, with your
Yes,
children?
yes, I do, ma'am.
After the incident happened, was he living there until he got picked up?
Yes, he was.
I'm going to order no further violent contact. So if there's any more violence, you call police and he will be rearrested. So I'm going to trust that there will be no more violence at this address between the two of you. If I allow Mr. Morris to go back, I'm reluctant to do it, don't want to do it. But I will if you feel that you and the children will be safe. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns, or unprescribed medication while on bond. And I think that's it.
Number 16, Parker.
$24 CR 007210Y to Marcos Parker, charge of 1 count of simple battery against a person who was pregnant at the time of the offense. Retrial.
First.
State.
Thank you, Your Honor. This incident happened just on the 6th of October at about 3 p.m. Police were called to 327 Collier Ridge Drive. They actually met the victim at an alternate location. Her sister, who was on the phone with her when she called 911 and the incident happened, or actually her sister was on the phone with her when the incident happened and called and had a Lyft come and pick the victim up. The victim's last name is Varner. Her first name is Anadia. That's A''Nadia. So this victim met with police at her sister's house where she'd been taken to safety. She reported that the 327 Collier Ridge Drive address is where she'd been living with her boyfriend, who she was pregnant with his child, and his mom. They were arguing, and during that argument, as the victim was on the phone with her sister, her boyfriend, Mr. Parker, punched her in the face. Again, she reported she was 6 months pregnant, that they lived together. She said that there'd been a prior incident about 3 months before and that police had been called. She wasn't seen to have any injuries on the day that she spoke to police. It is also noted that her son, that she does not share with this defendant, a very small child born in 2023, was also pregnant. We spoke with Mrs. Varner today after she received some jail calls from this defendant. The jail calls from the defendant shows him remind her, tell them you don't know anything, you don't remember anything. When they do call, when she does talk to him about it, she says, I told them I'm not coming to court. We spoke to her today. Of course, she said, just like she was instructed, I don't remember anything. Then she said that none of this ever happened, but also said it didn't go that far. She had to be reminded that she fled to her sister's house for help and the facts in the documents. She said the defendant had never been violent with her in the past, which was also a contradiction from what she reported to police. So what you are now hearing evidence of is a continuing crime and witness intimidation and tampering, Your Honor. The state would ask for a $2,000 surety, no contact. The charge in this case includes assault on a pregnant woman. She's currently pregnant. Stay away from wherever Ms. Varner may live, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Thank you.
All right. PD McLean?
Yes, Your Honor, my client is 21 years old. This is his first arrest, so that is the primary reason that I would ask the court to consider a signature bond at this time with appropriate conditions.
I know that it is his first, however, it's well, it's simple battery, doesn't say family violence. And this is did we sign for the sound from Ms. Varner? I'm assuming she's not on. All right. I'm going to go ahead and order the $2,000 signature bond through pretrial. I'm going to order 1-day anger awareness course at level 1. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, guns, or unprescribed medication while on bond. Stay away from the Collier Road or incident location. And we've not heard from Ms. Varner, right?
That incident location is where the defendant lives with his mother. So we're just requesting there be a stay away from wherever she lives and works. They should not have any contact.
Okay, so stay away from wherever Ms. Varner lives, the victim, and work. Stay away from her home and work. And no further contact with her as well. Anything else? And that's pretrial level 1, 1-day anger awareness course.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Number 17.
CR 007214J, Ronald Fortress, charged with 2 counts of battery family violence. Pretrial.
Well, got to open obstruction 2 counts out of LaGrange, open robbery as well. On probation in Coweta County, criminal attempt to commit a felony, 2024 FTA, 2019 probation. He got holes out of Fayette County, Gwinnett, and Union City.
Your Honor, that's my case. This is another case that is from May. So there's been a warrant out for this young man for a period of time. Police were called to 5544 Bluegrass Drive in South Fulton. There they spoke to the victim. I believe her name is Zaya. It's spelled Xziyah. Last name is Irvin, Irvin. She was seen to have a visible busted lip, and a chunk of her hair had been ripped out. She reported that the defendant who she lives with or was living with, but had recently left the residence that they shared, had come to where she was staying at a Airbnb. That's the Bluegrass Drive location. She was hiding in the bathroom when he came inside and forced himself into that bathroom, struck her multiple times in her face, causing the busted lip, and pulled a chunk of her hair out while throwing her around in the bathroom. She told the police that the defendant actually had the security code to get into the Airbnb, So it's unclear whether or not he was invited or not. But clearly this is something that happened during a breakup at that time period. We have tried to get in touch with Mrs. Irvin today, but have not been successful. But I do see someone with the name ZYAH on the Zoom. So if you'd sound for her when it's appropriate, based on the fact that this defendant has 3 different holds and open cases that include a robbery and the facts of this incident, we'd ask for $1,000 surety bond, no contact with Mrs. Irvin, stay away from wherever she may live, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Thank you.
All right. PD McLean?
Yes, Your Honor, my client is 28 years old. He owns his own truck and runs his business because he has a seat arranges for his business matters. That's primarily over the road. Before that, he worked with his uncle in construction. His education goes past high school. He had 2 years of computer science, so he's still in the middle of a bachelor's degree if he gets back to that. We would ask the court to consider as low a bond as possible. The bond of possibility, perhaps, but if the court is not leaning that way, then what the state said.
All right. That will be a $2,000 surety bond, $1,000 on each. And with that 2,000 surety bond, so you all requested no further contact with the victim, Zaya.
Yes, Your Honor, but she's also on the Zoom if you'd sound for her.
Oh, is she? Okay. Ms. Zaya, what's your last name again? I'm sorry.
It's Irvin.
Irving. Do you wish to address the court today? If you do, you just turn off your camera and be sworn in. If you don't, you can choose to do that as well. Messiah Irving. Irvin. All right, let's move on. PDs. Anything else?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
$2,000 surety bond, $1,000 on each. Have no further contact with the victim, Zaya Irving. Stay away from her home and work. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond.
Position number 20, Malik West.
This is 24 CR 0072222E. Malik West, charged with 1 count of willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer. Pre-trial.
Second arrest, 2023 criminal attempt to commit a felony, obstruction, contributing to delinquency of a minor. That's open, 23 CP 221046.
Your Honor, that open case is in Superior Court. It's a CP case. It's unindicted. It was from August of 2023. He's not being supervised. He was given a signature bond, but pretrial was initially on it based on the fact that it's been open for a period of time. The court ordered pretrial not to supervise him anymore. His mother, who's on the Zoom, also Ms. West, was a co-signer on that bond. So right now he's out on bond. That's a sign-on bond for his felony case. And in front of you today, he was arrested for obstruction. On October the 13th, police were called to 6920 Smoke Ridge Drive in South Fulton. While there, they observed the defendant jumping from the second floor of a apartment building and fleeing into the woods after being told to stop. They made contact with his mom, who was the 911 caller, Malika. I am so sorry if I'm pronouncing your name in a horrible way. Please help me. Mylakia is how I have the spelling. She spoke to police and reported that she'd had a verbal argument with her son and called 911, and she identified him as the person who fled on foot. So warrants were obtained. We'd asked for $1,000 surety only because he's now in violation of a bond he's out on in Superior Court, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and no violent contact with his mom. And she's on the Zoom, Your Honor, if you'd sound for her, Mrs. West.
Hi, Your Honor. I was made the call
Hold
about.
on. Judge, you gotta unmute.
I'm sorry, forgot I was on mute. If you wish to address the court today, I need to swear you in first.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth? Is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury? Sorry, I got tongue-tied there.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, put your hand down for me. Are you in fear of your son, Mr. Malik West?
No, what happened, Your Honor, Miss Missy?
I'm not asking you what happened because this is not the trial.
Okay.
I've got, so I'm not going to go into the facts.
Yes,
But,
ma'am.
do you want to have any further contact with him?
He's not a violent boy or anything. I stay in a house, not an apartment, Your Honor. The call was for a dog to be removed off the property. It was
How did we
never
get to a dog to a person?
Yeah, it was never, the call was for him to remove the dog off the property because we were in an argument about a puppy, Your Honor. That's what it was about. It never was where he put me in any type of fear. It was just the fact that he was being, unruly about the puppy leaving. But he's a good person. He got a high school diploma. He was working at Amazon before he recently got laid off and was in preparation of getting another job at the International Hartsfield Airport, or he was getting
Okay,
ready to.
I'm gonna kind of stop you there because that's what his attorney is going to do.
Okay.
Is to tell me about his background. But
Yes.
He lives with you?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay, how old is he?
He is 19. And the
19?
call, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you for that. Let's see what his attorney has to say. Mute yourself and PD McLean.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Simply, Your Honor, that he is 19, so he hasn't had a chance to build up much of a adult work record yet. He worked at either worked or works still at Amazon as an order picker, and that's getting to be a common job like Americans worked at McDonald's. So he is industrious, and he is, because he's charged with one count of obstruction here, I'd ask the court to consider a signature bond. I think he'll have any trouble with notice.
Well, I know it's his second arrest, but his first one is the open felony, correct?
Correct.
All right, I will order a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. I'm going to order him to have no further violent contact with his mom. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. And that's all I'll order for now. So I'll let him come back, but if he gets violent with his mom, he'll be back in the Fulton County Jail.
Next is number 3.
All right. And thank you, Miss West. You can sign off.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, you're welcome. Three is 24 CR 007209G Quintavious Benton. Charge of 1 count of simple battery.
19 on probation for battery. 24 CR 005797G. Also on probation for obstruction. 2024 FTA, 2024 probation. 2023 simple battery conviction. 2023 trespass conviction. 2023 trespass obstruction conviction. 2022 1 trespass conviction, 1 trespass nolo.
Right, state.
Yes, Your Honor. The 24 CR 5797G case pretrial mentioned the defendant pled guilty to that just this past September. He pled guilty September 21st, 2024. He was also ordered to undergo an MHET. He also pled guilty to failure to use crosswalk, willful obstruction, and simple battery against a police officer on August 13th, 2024. Also on August 13th, 2024, he pled guilty to simple battery. That case number is 24 CR 004940G. In that case, he was also ordered to undergo an MHET. So he has pled guilty 3 times since August. This incident occurred October 21st, 2024. The incident location is 141 Piedmont Avenue, Northeast in Atlanta. The victim in this case is Zoe Ben Brahim, BenBrahim. The defendant was in the middle of the street, panhandling and banging on cars. The defendant walked up to the victim's window and then spat in the victim's face, hitting the victim in the eyes with his spit. The victim was able to record the encounter on his dash cam. Our office has attempted to find and make contact with the victim, but we have not been able to do so. Given the defendant's history, the state's recommendation is a $2,000 surety bond. That is the bond that he currently has, so we are just asking that that bond remain the same. No further contact with Zoe Ben Brahim. Stay away from all of Piedmont Avenue. I am not sure. All of the incidents that have occurred on Piedmont Avenue, so I'm not sure how or if the court will be able to order that, but we're asking that he just, I guess, stay away from all of Piedmont Avenue. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. This defendant might have to go on the competency calendar. He has been ordered to get an MHET several times, and his behavior is concerning.
All right. PD Cook or McLean?
Yeah, it's my client, Your Honor. Mr. Benton, as far as I can tell, is residentially challenged. He has no income. We understand the circumstances. We don't believe the 2,000 surety is unreasonable, although I doubt he'd make even that. So it may have to be looked at again at SAP. There's no connection between the defendant and the alleged victim. I have nothing further.
All right, I'm going to leave the bond where it is at the $2,000 surety bond. Stay away from Piedmont Avenue. No further contact with the victim in this case. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. Is this something that's being referred to the competency calendar or not?
We didn't refer him to MH court given his violent history, but it does seem that he does have some MH issues. I'm honestly not sure. Is a competency calendar separate from MH court?
It is.
Okay,
It is.
So the state would be joining any request or making the request that there's an obvious issue here that needs to be evaluated and addressed.
Can he get a someone from behavioral health to go see him?
I will ask social workers to go see him. We're probably beyond that, and I will check with the folks at our end that deal with competency in the MH court.
Okay, let's see if they can pay him a visit and see if he needs a referral, and then present an order. If we do, let me know. But let's give him a BH evaluation and see what they think first. 2,000 surety, no further contact. Stay away from Piedmont Avenue, and all the other conditions: no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Position number 9, Davis.
This is 24 CR 007217F, Alexander Davis. Charge of 1 count of willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer.
13, 2024 DUI, 2 2023 probations, 2022 parole, 2022 probation, 2018 FTA, and an 08 armed robbery conviction.
Okay.
This incident occurred August 26, 2024. The incident location is 6690 Shannon Parkway in Union City. Officers were dispatched to the location regarding a dispute. When officers arrived at the location, they met with the defendant, who stated that he wanted to get his items from his girlfriend's room. Officers asked for his identifying information and discovered that he had an active warrant. When officers tried to detain him, he fled on foot. It looks like he currently has no bond set, and he does have some holds, it appears. So the state's recommendation would be a signature bond through pretrial services, or pretrial services will take him so that he can be released to his holds, stay away from the incident location, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
I don't know that I would release him to pretrial. I don't know that. Go ahead, PD McLean.
No objection to what requested. This is in the discretion of the court.
I'm going to order $3,000 signature bond through the jail to be released to his hold. No, stay away from 6690 Shannon Parkway. Don't go back there. No further contact with the girlfriend or whomever this person is that resides there. No further contact with her. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond.
Number 10.
24 CR 007218Y, Tavares Gates. 1 count of simple battery, family violence. 2nd count of reckless conduct. Pretrial.
4th arrest, possession of marijuana. I didn't see any violence. I'll take
Okay.
it.
All right.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred January 15th, 2024. The incident location is 1824 Honeysuckle Lane Southwest in Atlanta. The victim in this case is Jamaria Zachary, who shares a child with the defendant. The defendant went to the victim's residence and they began arguing about her being disrespectful. The defendant then began chasing the victim around his car, grabbed her and held her against the vehicle. He then grabbed her by her ponytail and pulled on it, causing her to fall to the ground. The victim's sister and her aunt were also home and witnessed the altercation, and they did pull the defendant off of the victim. At one point, the victim thought the defendant was about to leave, and while she was walking around the building, she saw the defendant drive towards her at a high rate of speed and swerve, which scared the victim. Our office has spoken with the victim, Miss Zachary, who confirmed the events in the warrant and the police report. She stated that when the defendant swerved, it scared her, which caused her to jump, but she does not believe the defendant was trying to run her over. She says this is the first time something like this has happened, and they have been in contact since this incident, and there has been no violence. She states she's not in fear of the defendant and wants to continue contact. The defendant has called the victim from jail, where he asked her about what she's doing to help him, tells her that she doesn't have to worry about him anymore, and they argue about her putting him in jail and not caring about it. The state's recommendation is $1,000 surety bond on the reckless conduct, a $1,500 surety bond on the simple battery, that he have no further contact with the victim, that he stay away from the incident location, that he undergo anger awareness, and that he have no drugs, weapons, or alcohol. We do understand that the victim does want to continue contact with him, but our recommendation is for no further contact. If you could please sound for the victim, Miss Jamaria Zachary.
Ms. Jamaris Zachary.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, I'm not gonna be able to talk to you, baby. After
I'm sorry,
baby's
hold
not cooperating.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I don't think you're gonna be able to talk to me because we have baby in the background.
Hold
I'm
on.
not gonna be able to talk to you. I hear you. And if you don't have anywhere to safely put the baby, I guess we can't
Yes, hold
talk.
on 1 second.
Can you mute yourself for me?
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Okay. Do you wish to address the court today?
Yes.
Raise your right hand so I can swear you in. Do you affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
All right. Do you want to have any further contact with Tavares Gates?
Yes.
Are you in fear of Mr. Tavares Gates?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Do you all live together?
No, we don't.
Okay. All right. How old are you?
I'm 26 years old.
Okay. And your baby is 1 or something?
Yes, she'll be 2 on November 5th.
And that's the child that you have with Mr. Gates?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I don't have anything further. Any cross-examination?
No, Your Honor.
All right. All right. Go ahead, PD McLean.
That's my client, Your
Oh,
Honor.
sorry, Mr. Cook.
That's fine. We would ask for no further contact. My client makes a modest living as a chef. We understand the nature of the charges. We would ask for a signature bond through pretrial. If not, then the lowest possible surety bond, Your Honor. As far as contact, again, we would ask for no further violent contact in accordance with the wishes of the alleged victim. Nothing further.
All right. I'll order a $2,500 signature bond through pretrial level 1, which will be $1,500 on the simple battery, $1,000 on the reckless. No further violent contact with the victim, Ms. Zachary. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns. Unprescribed medication while on bond. Oh, and through pretrial, wanted to take 1 week of anger awareness courses through pretrial.
1 week?
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Or
like what, five?
five classes, yeah.
I mean, it's 1 day, so I guess 5 days.
5 days, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And that will be it.
Thank you.
That's about the job on solid.
Uh, can we revisit Mr. Davis, position number 9? There's a death by shoplifting on the bookend. Would you all be handling that today?
No, that's a bind over case. I've got to get an arrest report for it, but I'm aware of it and I'll be working on it. As soon as I understand what he was taking at North Point Mall, I'll charge his case, but I can't just move forward on a citation that says he was shoplifting. So I know it's there. I'm waiting. If you want to address bond, you absolutely can. He was just in front of the court on an obstruction charge that was outstanding in August and was arrested yesterday at North Point Mall stealing and had that outstanding warrant.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
Number 12, Mr. Knight.
This is 24 CR 0072004D Milton Knight, charged with two counts of simple battery family violence and a third count of simple battery against a person 65 years or older or who is pregnant. Pretrial.
33, 2021 probation, 2018 disorderly conduct conviction, 2015 FTA, 2012 probation, 2012 possession of cocaine conviction. I stopped there.
Okay.
Your Honor, this is an incident that occurred in April. So many of these incidents today are
old ones.
Old in general, but basically report made, warrant issued, defendant not arrested for a period of time. So on April the 15th of this year at 9 a.m., the police were called to 11 Allen Temple Court Northwest. There they met with the victim, Tierra Smith. She's here on the Zoom. She reported that she'd been assaulted by the defendant inside of her apartment. She was 28 weeks pregnant. She said that the defendant became upset and started throwing her around the apartment. He tried to put his hands on her neck and choke her. She prevented him from doing this. On the scene, she was complaining of abdominal pain and said that the defendant had jumped on her. Police asked her what that meant specifically. She said that he'd come to the location and accused her of having another man inside. He began throwing punches at her. And again, she said he tried to choke her, but she was able to get free by biting him. She said when he was striking her, she fell to the floor and she balled up on the floor, protecting her belly as he jumped on her. She was struck in the abdomen during this assault and taken to the hospital. Police met with her at the hospital while she was being treated, and she identified the defendant there. Warrant was issued at that point. The defendant, I would note, has a battery family violence conviction in 2003, an aggravated assault, again, family violence conviction in 2003, simple battery family violence conviction in 2008, aggravated assault family violence conviction in 2008, 2014, simple battery family violence. That's actually still open because it was in bond forfeiture as of 2017 and it's just sitting there. That's 16 CR 008-608J. That's a different case. He failed to appear at trial in front of Judge Besson. That is last name Mack. Last name, the victim of that case, last name is Mack. The four other cases I just mentioned are, the victim is Kimberly Murphy. In 2018, his disorderly conduct conviction you just heard about was actually reduced to disorderly from a simple assault family violence, and it's the same victim as this case, Mrs. Tierra Smith. And that makes sense because during their jail calls, they discuss that she knows what she's supposed to do because she already did it. And they were able to get the last case taken care of. So we spoke to Mrs. Tierra Smith today. She reports that they share 4 children because she was 28 weeks pregnant when this happened in April, that they're in a relationship and they live together. She said this was all just a misunderstanding and he never actually hit her. He only tried to hit her. That's also what she said in 2018, that he didn't actually hit her. He just tried to hit her. She said she only went to the hospital to check on her baby because she was riled up. She also says this has never happened before, which is clearly a contradiction to what the record would show, because there was an assault on her in 2018, as well as the 5 other convictions he has for assaults on other ladies. Oh, in that open case that's still in bond forfeiture. She says there's been no violence and she's not in fear of him. The state in this case, similar to the multiple other cases today, would argue that the victim and her brand new baby that she was 28 weeks pregnant with when this assault occurred are not in a safe place if it's at home with this gentleman. He's been ordered to have family violence intervention programming, stay away from women multiple times and violated that. Clearly that treatment hasn't assisted. I believe he also explained to the victim in jail calls that although he needs help, it's not going to be there in the jail. That's not where you get help. So we'd be asking for a $4,000 surety, Your Honor, no contact with the victim in this case, Ms. Smith, while he's out on bond. Stay away from the location where she's currently living. I'm not sure if that's the same location as April, the Allen Temple Court apartment. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And if this case ends up being reset, it needs to be reset with that still active bench warrant, dormant bench warrant case, 16 CR 008 608J. So it is closed appropriately. Thank you. And if you'd sound for the victim, Your Honor, again, Ms. Smith.
All right, Ms. Tiara Smith. See a Tiara there.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Do you wish to address the court today? Yes or no?
No, I'm fine. I don't want any charges or anything. We're good.
Okay. All right. Thank you. You can mute yourself.
Okay.
Thank you. PD Cook and McLean.
It's my case, Your Honor. We obviously don't have going in the morning all the background information. We just had I did speak with Miss Smith. She said she wanted him to come home. They have 3 children together. However, given the record, we are going to yield to the court's discretion on this case.
All right. I'm going to order the $4,000 surety bond. Going to order stay away from the Allen Temple Court address. Have no further contact with Tiara Smith. And stay away from wherever she lives or works. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, guns, or unprescribed medication while on bond. And let's see, that breakdown is going to be on the simple battery against a person who is pregnant. That would be 2,000 and 1,000 on each of the simple batteries, for a total of 4,000. Surety.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. 14.
Next is number 14.
Yeah. This is 24 CR 007205J, Octavius McCoy, charged with 1 count of simple battery in a public transit vehicle or station, 2nd count of disorderly conduct. Pre-trial.
8th arrest, 2015, abandonment of a dependent child, 2011 and 12 probation. That's it.
Okay.
Your Honor, this is
State.
an incident that occurred on the 1st of August at about 9:45 at 377 Decatur Street. That's the Memorial King MARTA station. The bus operator, the victim in this case, his name is Jerome Sanders. A police report was made that an assault on a driver had occurred, and police responded and met with him. He said that He had a disagreement with the defendant after he told the defendant he needed to pay the fare. He also closed the doors and told the defendant he was going to be taking a break. The defendant became irate, used profanity. The victim reported he left the bus shortly, and when he returned, the defendant was there and then kicked the partition that's put in place between bus drivers and the public. This partition struck the bus driver in his shoulder, and then the defendant fled. The police canvassed the area and were unable to locate him, but they did review CCTV footage and were able to find footage that verified the defendant was on the bus, approaching the driver, yelling at the driver, pressing his forehead against the glass and yelling at the driver, then walking off of the bus and standing to the right of the bus for a period of time before then approaching again and approaching the partition, where he used his back leg to physically kick the partition, causing it to hit the driver in the arm. He was identified through the use of that surveillance. He was actually wearing the same clothing on the surveillance as he was when he was taken into custody. The defendant has felony convictions for forgery, but I don't see any violence. We'd be asking for a stay away from MARTA with no contact as well for Mr. Jerome Sanders. We spoke to Mr. Sanders today. He confirmed the facts in the warrant, said he'd never seen the defendant before this incident, but has seen him a few times after, and the defendant hasn't approached him. So we'd be asking for $1,000 surety, Your Honor. No contact with Mr. Sanders, stay away from MARTA, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You said 1,000 was your recommendation?
I did, Your Honor. This is an assault on a stranger who should feel safe working his job in the public sector, getting people to and from their jobs. Yes.
All right. PD Cook.
Yes, Your Honor. My client denies the specific allegations as stated in the warrant. He's 40 years old. He works for the Marriott, has for 10 years. And I don't believe there was a violent incident in his background. We would be asking for a signature bond at any level the court deems appropriate. And certainly we have no objection to stay away or no further contact.
All right. I'm going to order a $1,500 signature bond through the jail. That'd be 1,000 on the battery, 500 on the disorderly. Total 1,500. He's to stay away from that MARTA station. And no further contact with the victim or the driver. Jerome Sanders. I know that the state was asked to stay away from all MARTA. I'm assuming he'll know how to act if he gets on some other MARTA. Do I need to ban him from all MARTA? No. If you're going to act right, I'll let you ride other stations, but don't, while you're on bond, do not go to the King Memorial Station or have no further contact with this driver, Mr. Sanders. So you'll need to avoid that station. And no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. And I believe that'll be it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mm-hmm.
Your Honor, give me a moment. Let me clear the courtroom for the last case.
Okay.
We need to cease the YouTube feed as well, Your Honor.
Well, is that for position 19?
I'm looking at Brian. Are we talking about Brian Jones, Officer Blunt?
What about 19? Wait till I guess we'll wait till she comes back.
Number 19 bond was posted.
Bond posted? Okay, because
Yes,
I
ma'am.
thought, gee, okay.
Okay, we can